Hey, I'm Dr. Sam Ellis. I'm a board-certified dermatologist and the founder of Prequel, and our newest launch is here, Foot Rescue Advanced Restorative Treatment. Let's talk about feet. As a clinical dermatologist, I am seeing patients every single day in the office, undressed from head to toe. I can tell you so many people are struggling with their feet, whether that's dry, cracked heels or calluses. Foot care is something we just don't talk about enough. And really taking care of the skin on your feet is such an integral part of caring for all of your skin. When you really think about it, the skin on your feet is subject to some of the most wear and tear on your entire body. And because the skin on your feet is the thickest skin on your entire body, I actually feel like a lot of people neglect their feet because they feel like they can kind of handle a lot. But the reality is your feet are so reactive to the things you do on a daily basis, and so it's very easy for them to become dry or cracked, or for that skin to become too thick and then become problematic. Also, because that skin is so thick, sort of your typical body creams, although helpful, might not really do the full job that the skin on your feet really needs. And that's really where Foot Rescue comes in. Actually, one of my most watched YouTube videos of all time is about foot care, and I feel like one of the biggest takeaways from that is that your feet need TLC, and I really wanted to develop a product with Prequel that would meet all of your foot care needs. Because let's be honest, no one really wants to walk around with dry, cracked heels, and for many people that actually becomes a functional problem where they can't participate in certain activities because their feet are giving them so many issues. So Foot Rescue is an ointment, and I kind of want to talk about the ingredients that make this so effective and what makes the overall formulation of this really special. Perhaps most importantly, this has 15% urea, and you know, I'm a big urea fan. And urea is really a special and unique ingredient because depending on the concentration that's incorporated into a formula, it's going to behave differently and serve a different purpose. So at 15%, which is what's included in our Foot Rescue, urea serves as a humectant to draw moisture to the skin's surface to help hydrate that skin, but also serves as something called a keratolytic, something that's going to break down that thick, dead skin cell layer and help you shed some of those calluses. When the skin on your feet gets too dry and too thick, it's really unable to respond to the skincare that you're putting on it unless you're using something potent enough to really penetrate and cause meaningful change in that skin. When you look at foot creams that contain urea, oftentimes urea can be used up to 40%. But what I've found with 40% urea creams is that they almost soften the skin too much. It becomes almost mushy and the skin can turn a little bit white or macerated. And if you know, you know, but it's kind of gross. The 15% urea in here is really that sweet spot where you're getting super effective exfoliation, but without over exfoliating the feet, because you still need your feet to be highly functional. You don't want them to be too sensitive. And this really improves and strengthens the skin on your feet instead of just breaking it down. In addition to having 15% urea, this also has 5% salicylic acid and 2% malic acid. These are two additional exfoliants that really complement what the urea is doing and work synergistically to soften and exfoliate the skin. In addition to the exfoliating ingredients in our Foot Rescue treatment, there's also petrolatum and glycerin. Glycerin serves as that humectant to draw moisture into the skin's surface, and then petrolatum is a beautiful occlusive ingredient that helps lock that moisture in so it can't escape. And having an occlusive formula when it comes to a foot ointment is so important because moisture is constantly wanting to be drawn out of that thick, dead skin on your heels, and being able to lock it in there is going to ensure that the formula actually works and penetrates the way it's supposed to. Foot problems plague so many people, and so as a dermatologist over the years, I have tried, recommended, experimented with so many different foot creams and ointments and various treatments, and this is truly the best foot product I have ever used. And really the thing that makes this so exceptional is that you can see results in just one use. I almost never say that about a skin thing because the skin honestly takes a long time to respond to treatments, but this bad boy works literally overnight. Let's talk about how this feels. This is a dense, rich ointment that still spreads very easily and absorbs into the skin. But I really wanted this to be thick enough that when you apply it, it stays in place. Your foot skin needs a lot of help, and you need something that's really going to hold onto the skin and work where it's placed. When I compare the Foot Rescue treatment to Prequel's other ointment, the Skin Utility ointment, which is intended for use from head to toe, that is a much more lightweight ointment, whereas this really is thicker and richer, and we want it to be that way. We want it to stay in place. Plus, it has those added exfoliating and nourishing ingredients for the specific skin on your feet. Something that's kind of nice about this and quite convenient is that you actually don't need to use it every single day. It is so effective that using it 2 to 3 nights a week alone will get you the results that you need. I'm obviously on my feet a lot lot in clinic, and so my feet do take a beating during the week. So I like to apply this on the weekends, and that's kind of like my 2 days on, 5 days off. And that is enough to keep my heels really supple and soft. Not that you need to really hear that much about my feet, but this has worked so well to keep everything in working order. If you're someone who's struggling with a really thick callus or really thick, dry, cracked heels, the way I would apply this is in the evening and use it consecutive nights until your heels feel better. Once you reach that sort of desired texture on your feet, then you can start spreading out use to just a couple nights a week. The other thing I will often recommend to my patients is something called the soak and smear method. So after your feet have been soaking, for example, in a bath or a shower, that's really the best time to put this on. It will really lock in that moisture and just give you some added hydration benefits. Also, when the skin is wet, it's better able to absorb something like this. So again, if you're really dealing with thick, stubborn skin, apply it on wet skin. And like I mentioned, this is really an ointment. And so I could imagine a lot of you are thinking, well, am I gonna like put ointment on my feet and then just like walk around my house? I recommend putting it on right before bed and you just slip into your sheets, or you can apply socks on over. And that's what I actually like to do, is put it on, put on some socks, and then sleep in the socks, or at least leave the socks on for a couple of hours to help it penetrate. So even though this is a targeted foot treatment, there are other areas on your body that can develop thick or cracked skin that I think this is really helpful. So I like to take any extra that I have kind of after applying it to my feet and put it on my hands and also around my cuticles. I find that it helps so much with dry, cracked cuticles, as well as those little hangnails. In usual Prequel fashion, this foot treatment is fragrance-free and allergy tested. And one question I know I will be asked, because it always comes up when we talk about foot treatments, is can this be used in pregnancy? And what I can tell you is I would feel comfortable using it during my pregnancy. I would feel comfortable counseling my patients that they could use it during their pregnancy, but you should always check with your own doctor. Also, because this is intended for use on the feet and on those dry, cracked heels, some people might wonder, like, is this crack too deep or too open to apply this? So what I usually tell my patients is if your crack is like bleeding or it's open or stinging, wait until it's healed a little bit, but this can be applied to like really thick, dry, cracked heels. Even if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, my feet are like fine, I don't have big calluses, I don't have those dry, cracked heels that Dr. Ellis keeps talking about, I still think this is super beneficial. Keeping your feet nourished and that skin supple and supported is a huge part of just overall well-being and your foot health. So even just having this in your routine once a week to keep the skin on your feet nice and soft, I think is an amazing addition to your routine. And I know it's not very glamorous or sexy to talk about foot care, but Prequel is all about taking care of your skin from head to toe, and really with this basic plus approach, where your products are not only effective, but they're also enjoyable to use and they really inspire you to use them. Also, how cute is this tube? I mean, I would have no problem putting this on my nightstand or giving it to a friend. You can find the Foot Rescue Advanced Restorative Treatment at Prequel.com. And of course, if you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out to me on social media. I want to talk about Prequel with you literally all the time.